Croeso I sianel Blaid Llwyd. Yes, it's time to check in at the Minotaur Hotel again. So I wasn't quite sure what we were going to be doing this week, and I have all this queued up, so we're going to carry on with Minotaur Hotel. And we left it right at the end of chapter 11. So let's go from there. Chapter 12, The Concert. When you wake up the next morning, you feel the burn or even get up. Your legs haven't felt this sore in a while. You stretch your whole body, and that same soreness extends up to your back. It's satisfying in its own way. Yesterday's expedition to the valley was a long hike, quite the welcome change of pace from all these days inside the hotel. Plus you got a lot done in one day. When you look at the clock, you find it's already quite a bit later than your usual waking time. But after everything, you have earned a late start to the day. Breakfast must be quick to account for it, however. While Asterion makes scrambled eggs, you go behind his back and prepare toast. When he puts the plate on the table and motions to prepare something else, you surprise him by making a sandwich with the toast and eggs. "Oh, is that not a tad humble for the realm's lord?" "Maybe, but it's already late. What do you say we sit together and share a sandwich while we plan the day?"
"Oh, I'd rather not repeat the other day's disaster, if you wouldn't mind."
"Well, wasn't cutlery the issue? Oh, we are eating sandwiches today after all."
I suppose there's no arguing against that. Before I sit down, is my clothing appropriate for the day?"
"He looks fine as usual." Asterion inspects his clothing and general appearance while you eat.
"Well, thank you for your selection. Today might be an important day, after all."
"If we get the bottle."
"If we get the bottle, yes. I must remind you that I can still heal without it. Our priority should be getting the internet up and running so as not to upset guests. Based on how you describe it, and how much I hear about it in the lounge, it seems to be essential to you all now. It would be a tragedy if we were to lose guests over this issue."
"It's annoying to live without it, sure, but I'd say we're doing a good job managing the hotel otherwise. We're facing a lot of challenges and doing our best. That speaks for itself. I doubt people would stop coming here over lack of internet. Besides, we can still, I hope, get both done by tonight." You take a bite of your egg sandwich.
"You sound optimistic, Master."
"We'll see. I hope Luke and Kota are more cooperative today." You finish your breakfast in silence, together, without any catastrophic cutlery situation. After cleaning the table of any breadcrumbs, you and Asterion walk towards the staircase together before splitting up. You head to reception while Asterion summons the others. Kota puts down the last dish of the batch and turns to the clock on the wall. 5 to 8. Very few guests have shown up for an early breakfast today. The only people so far were the South American workers. Kota had grown fond of their company these past days, and they in turn enjoyed his gravelly voice and the jokes, smiles and extended explanations he brought with each dish. Perhaps they're not used to being treated so well. And of course they loved his cooking, even if it was so distant from what their wives cooked back home. So there was a certain disappointment in the air when, this morning, Kota didn't serve his usual steamed rice, grilled trout and kobachi. Instead, the dragon had cooked quite the unusual special for the day. Still, Kota's cooking left nothing to be desired, and they chowed down nonetheless. A happy customer always cheered Kota up, but as the clock kept ticking, he began to wonder if the effort was worth it.
"Oh, good morning, Mr. Walker."
"Good morning." Luke drags a stool back, plops himself on the other side of the bar and rests his hands on the counter. Luke looks off to the side, the other guests chatting around. He swings his feet while twiddling his thumbs. Kota, meanwhile, looks down to wash some cups. He waits for it, for the inevitable tasteless joke from the Griffin. He doesn't even look up, so sure is he that it's coming. but it never arrives. He gives Luke a glance, 2, 3, until they are staring at each other in acknowledgement. Kota pulls out a tray and places it in front of the Griffin. You showed up on time. Luke looks down at his dish. Pancakes, fried eggs, bacon, and freshly squeezed orange juice. Yep, and you were talking shit about me when I got here, so I guess we both deserve a hooray. You gave me more than enough reasons to do that. Luke grabs a strip of bacon off the plate with his hands, dips it in the egg yolk, and opens his beak wide to swallow it whole. Perhaps such a display would have brought dismay to Kota just a week before, but this time he finds himself unfazed by it. Oh, I didn't. I know it can be difficult to deal with. That doesn't mean you should badmouth someone who doesn't have a chance to defend himself. Ain't a gentlemanly thing to do. But you do have a point. I came on to you, made you uncomfortable, and then escalated the situation. That's a shitty thing to do. I apologize. You are forgiven. And? I admit I have misjudged you. In fact, your eagerness to help Mr. Asterion and Mr. Leo has revealed quite a few qualities I must respect. You could have stood by and done nothing, but you offered your help for a risky, difficult task. That, I suppose, says more about your character than our petty squabble ever could. Luke smiles, cuts off a big chunk of pancake, and then folds it in half and slips the entire massive piece down his gullet. Even if, and I must be honest in this regard, your manners leave a lot to be desired. Luke gulps and clears his throat while wiping his hand with a napkin. He cuts a smaller chunk this time, one which would still make a human choke, and brings it to his mouth. I'm sorry. It's just this is real fun. I mean, it's delicious. Luke takes a sip of orange juice. You're right, though. We got a bigger hole in the fence here. Oh, we'd have more use of this joint if we didn't act like petty assholes to each other. Luke stretches his right hand to Kota. The dragon hesitates. The griffin's scaly digits are covered in a film of egg yolk and bacon grease, fanning the embers of enmity back into flame. The blue dragon takes Luke's hand despite himself. He remembers, as his palm meets the American's with an audible squelch, that he can wash afterwards. Swallowing his pride as readily as Luke swallows the remains of his breakfast. Peace restored, understanding replaces unease. Before long they both look back to their first meeting and laugh. The two spend the following half hour without saying a word to each other, but not minding the company. They enjoy breakfast, get busy with basic chores, and greet other guests as the lounge fills up. The other guests whisper, what a far cry this is from the bickering of the previous days. When Asterion walks into the lounge, he, like the other guests, cannot contain his surprise at seeing the two getting along. Luke, Kota, your presence is required in the reception. Sure, partner, let's do this. Indeed. You lean on the reception desk. You think back to how empty this place used to be and how busy it is now. The day is going to be another stressful day, but one can hope by the end it will all have been worth it. You don't have much time to reflect, however, since Asterion returns from the lounge much faster than you expected. You're surprised Luke and Kota walk in behind him, still distant from each other, but not bickering. Well, it seems like everyone is here. So we are a little tight on time and resources. Today is our last chance to get this bottle. We need to sacrifice the bundle we found yesterday somewhere in the labyrinth. And we still have the internet issue to solve. Greta mentioned yesterday we needed to rewrite 5 contracts and complete 5 tech schematics to get internet access. So far we have 8 and 3 respectively. And as far as the bottle is concerned, Asterion? Well, there's 3 spots that would need to be surveyed and 3 artifacts necessary. So far we have 3 and 1 respectively. If everyone's okay with it, we can spread our resources like we did yesterday. Should I assume you two don't want to work together again? Don't worry about that. We'll do what is necessary to help, yes. Well, that's good news. Thanks, you two. So, that's the state of affairs. Now let's... Yeah, Med, I'm sorry. What the fuck? Sorry, I thought no one was going to be here for a while. Ismail awkwardly runs away towards the lounge, arms behind his back. So, anyway, if it's alright with everyone, I will not venture out to the valley today, considering what I ran into yesterday. Yes, it would be best for you to avoid any unnecessary risks, Master. As for the rest, let's split into teams again, shall we? So we have everyone organised. Already. Let's finish this. Alright, is everyone's role here clear? Very well, let's get to it then. Asterion hums the melody, and a downward passage to the bedrock materialises next to the door leading to the staircase. You bid Asterion and Kota farewell. You hand Luke the bundle and wish him luck. You spend the rest of the day on your own, go into the usual routine. You spend some time manning reception, go to the lounge for lunch, and take an afternoon break in the Master's quarters. Eventually the time comes to check in on both your teams. Let's check in on the R&D team through the round window. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. I know none of you are going to get that reference. Don't worry about it. Oh, it looks like you've obtained a reward. I've totally forgotten Greta's voice. Oh well. Leo, it's wonderful. Everyone's having a blast. Oh, hey Greta, what's going on? Is the internet working? Internet? Oh, yes, the internet. Silly me, how could I forget? It is working, we did it, but that's not even the best thing. This whole experience has given me so many amazing ideas, such incredible visions for research. I wrote a document outlining a few of them and showed it to everyone. They're all so blown away by it, they can't even take more than one idea or two before needing a break. Oh, it's beautiful, Leo. Everyone back in the engineering department will be so jealous. That's great, Greta. I'm happy to hear that. I'm sure everyone will love your ideas. So, I take it everything is set up and well? Oh, yes, absolutely. More or less. Well, we got the Wi-Fi to work, but there's a whole mess about getting an internet service provider, and we might be using the internet service provider the Uruguayans work for, okay? So things are very makeshift on that end, you see. The broadband is very limited. But it works. Everything is in order. But if something goes wrong, I'm afraid I have no idea how to fix it. I'm not a networks engineer. Give me a break, okay? You might want to send their central an email every once in a while, and you'll have to pay the bills too. But I'm sure that'll be easy for you with the Magic Hotel and all. Give me 1 minute. We're doing a stress test here. Be right back with you. You approach Asterion and Kota. Oh, isn't this exciting news, Mr. Leo? I don't use my phone a lot, but being able to look up recipes to cater to guests the world over is definitely a boon to any restaurant. We did it, Master. Well, I didn't do much other than explain how to write contracts and make sure everything was in order. The others did the heavy lifting, but I'm happy to have been able to help. Greta has been most helpful explaining these concepts to me throughout these sessions. I feel like I caught up with some of the advancements I missed these last decades. I still feel like I will need your help with learning the ropes, Master, but I feel more confident in my ability to do so. Hey, well done, Asterion. What tech? This is incredible news. So, should I try logging in? Oh, yes, let me see if I recall the instructions. The network is Minotaur Hotel. And the password is... Asterion thinks for a couple of seconds with a strained expression, then just points towards a strip of paper on the table. You pick it up and it says... Netzwerkdurchsetzungsgesetz. I haven't spoken German in a long time. Give me a break. Okay, we're going to have to change that. That would be for the best. She carefully detailed how to do it in one of these documents. So, Minotaur Hotel. Okay, that's memorable and to the point, I suppose. You log in and for the first time in a long while, your Wi-Fi icon lights up. So, we have internet access. Yay! The excitement in the room is palpable, but you have other responsibilities to attend to. Congratulate the team on a job well done and go check on the exploration team. which is basically just Luke. You found 3 raw materials, nice. Other than that, no big discoveries, which is fine. He's not happy about it. This is not the news you're expecting. Luke and you walk back to the cave leading to the staircase, a welcome refuge from the still unrelenting intense sunlight from the valley. He stays behind, resting against the rocky walls of the cave, recovering from his expedition. You ask if he needs company, but he insists you go on ahead. All he needs is a few minutes to catch his breath and cool off in the shade before climbing the stairs. You climb the stairs back to reception. You start at a decent pace, putting one foot in front of the other at a steady mechanical rhythm, but soon you begin to linger on each floor to a noticeable concerning degree. When you next realise you're standing still, halfway up between the entrance to the valley and the ground floor. Your feet feel heavy, weighed down by the prospect of admitting defeat. After a minute, your resolve to keep walking is crushed beneath the weight of dread. You sit down to rest. If you aren't going to move from your current position, you might as well make your stay more comfortable. You look up, not to reception but to the master's quarters. You begin to weigh your options. Would Argos be willing to accept further bargains? What terms would he demand in exchange for the bottle? Or perhaps there's a loophole you didn't consider. He never intended to give you the bottle in the first place. That's another possibility. Perhaps a more attractive, comforting one that would absolve you of guilt for your failure. Someone walks behind you, you don't react. You have to think a way out of this, and you're laser focused on coming up with it. Or do you? It's not the end of the world, is it? Asterion said that he would heal regardless, didn't he? In his own words, it would just take him longer to do so. The question then becomes, how long? Would it take weeks, months, years? You spent decades filthy, wounded and emaciated. Immortal or not, that is a lot to recover from. Your momentary optimism evaporates. All you're left with is the silence of the stairs and the sunlight raining down from above, which you can tell has shifted towards a redder hue. It would soon be time to confront Argos and admit defeat. The snake, you imagine, will not waste the opportunity to squeeze some additional misery out of you. Perhaps he'll crush the bottle right before your eyes, or uncork it from above the statue, making his own libation to the parched soil that spawned him. Maybe he'd make you summon Asterion to the valley and exchange the bottle to keep toying with you. This is unproductive. Enough moping. You stand back up. You take your first step down, then another. The next step takes some more effort. You consider abandoning the idea of meeting with Argos entirely since you have nothing to gain from the exchange. You take it anyway. You hear the sound of someone else's footsteps, but trudge on with single-minded determination, ignoring distraction even as it grows ever louder in your ears.
Oh, what the fuck, Leo? Which way are you going?
You open your eyes. It's Luke. His eyes are wide and you've never seen them. He's shaking and out of breath and missing some feathers throughout his body, the point you can see the redness of the skin beneath.
Luke, are you alright?
Luke hunches and coughs. The sound is raspy and coarse, followed by wheezing and loud breathing. He is evidently not alright. He stands back up and leans on the railing. You tell him that's a terrible idea and instruct him to sit on the stairs.
Archie, boss, I sit down and might crush this.
Luke pulls out something from behind and gives it to you.
Luke, what the fuck? How did you get this?
Luke props himself on the stairs and leans back, trying to catch his breath.
I want to take a guess.
Luke, what did you do?
You know, that snake dude really thinks the sun comes up just to hear him crow. He thinks he's hot shit, doesn't he? Oh, let me tell you, he isn't. He's got shit eyesight for starters. I don't mean to brag, but I'm half bald eagle. I can spot a snake slithering around from very far away, and he didn't see me sneaking up at all. So I grab the fuck from behind, lock his arms behind his back, and push him down to the ground. I say it my first rodeo. I'm good at what I do. Immobilized him before he even figured out what was going on.
Luke pauses to catch his breath.
So ask the asshole where the bottle is. He whimpers like a little bitch before admitting it. It's tucked away in that little pelt of his. I start patting it down, guess what? It was really there. I take the bottle before I know it well.
Luke stops, swallows, and continues breathing heavily.
Well, I didn't account for him having a tail, so before I know it, that shit is around my neck, pushing me back hard. Really hard.
But yeah, let me tell you, Leo, I'm hard to take down. I've lived through a lot. You dish it out, I can take it. I've been punched, stabbed, shot, blown up, and lived to tell a tale. But those guys get kicked, I've been strangled and passing out. I'm the opposite of that. Just touching my leg makes me freak out, and I almost screeched my lungs out, but I kept my cool. If I broke the bottle, it'd have all been for nothing. That's when the talons came out. And oh boy, you think I'm banged up, you should see the other guy. Luke sits straight. So here you have it. Luke, let's take you to the lounge. Leo, chill, I'll be fine. And you bet your ass I want to go to the lounge and have a drink. I'm not sure if it's water I'd prefer at the moment. Oh, you don't mind if I take a day off tomorrow? I'm still freaked out, Sure, Luke. Take all the time you need. This is incredible, thank you. Hey, anything for you on Asterion, partner? You help the Griffin back on his feet. He gives you a wide smile. I can handle it, Leo. I'm serious. Now go have a toast wherever the fuck you want that wine for, will ya? Luke and you walk up the stairs together. You try slinging an arm around his shoulder, but he declines, calls you an idiot and laughs before coughing again. When you reach ground floor, Luke walks towards reception, but turns around to salute you. You return the gesture in kind and head up the stairs towards the master's quarters. There was something in Clement's eyes, a flickering spark. I caught sight of it years before he became the master. I've seen it too often over the centuries, ever since Joseph first washed down the rivers in the valley. Such a human thing, that flame. It wants glory. It seeks to burn ever brighter so that eyes shall lay upon its light. To that end, it will play the role of the Good Samaritan. It will dress itself in the fine fabrics of nobility, colour its digits with polished rings and sparkling gemstones, walk with that broad-shouldered and wide-stepped gait. They, the masters of old, would extend a hand overflowing with wealth, all the richness which for them came at the hum of a song, and grin at how mighty the masses consider them to be. All eyes on their visage, all the guests and souls in this land, all brimming with love and respect. That's what Clement wanted, and for that he played the same game Jean-Marie did. There's a difference. Not all men are cut from the same cloth. Those flames burning in their chests, they could not be more different. Jean-Marie had a vision. He had seen pain. It had crawled up into his chest, carved a hollow in his heart and curled inside it. When he looked at the guests, lacking limbs and glassy-eyed from that old war, his face scrunched just as his heart skipped a beat. He never stopped singing, not as long as he was here, not until his heart stopped beating. I know it, sure as I know myself. Clement wanted adoration. Jean-Marie had a vision. Were there no eyes in this world, the good master would have done it all the same, knowing well that falling in obscurity was no issue at all. Old friend, who is this master who now reigns over us? I wonder, what flame lurks inside his chest? What is the catch? Why would a master, free from whatever shackles can bind a mortal, ever look down to us and consider us worthy of his effort? He knows now how to rain diamonds from the palm of his hand. Food and shelter will never be an issue to him ever again, and company will be as plentiful as the guests that flock to express their gratitude. Does he appreciate the arts? If so, his favoured artists may come and produce for him to his heart's content. The sciences? Bring his academics, teach them how to generate all the materials they desire. Whatever mysteries eat away at him will be broken to pieces. Money? The easiest of them all. But one can wonder what money is good for when this realm has no scarcity. Anything he can describe can be created by humming a song. What is this master? What man is he? Why does he look at me like that? Why did he work to get me the wine? What is the catch? Why does he look at me like that? Does he not see what I am? that he can do what he pleases with me or ignore my existence altogether as he enjoys all the earthly pleasures this land affords him? Perhaps he hasn't realized yet. Surely he will in due time. And then it'll be like the previous masters, where they too understood that I could be thrown aside. 60 years slinking away in the shadows, pretending I don't exist, trying not to bother them. Doing my best to make them all forget I exist. Whatever good there can be for one such as I, greater misfortune follows. It won't be long now before he realizes what I am. That I am a dumb beast, that I will not be good enough to entertain him for long. All I can ask for is that he lets me be. But why does he look at me like that? Why did he promise not to send me out to the valley? A promise which cannot be enforced and yet kept nonetheless. Why did he, in front of the guests, call me his business partner? By the 12th, to even give such credit to a slave. Why did he touch me? Why does he waste his time entertaining me? What is his goal by having a meal with me? The way he looks at me. By the gods, it feels like he's taking care of me more than I serve him. When he held my hand, there must be a catch. But the way he looks at me, am I at least allowed to?
It's barely been over a week since you crossed the desert, glimpsed the valley below and opened all the doors inside this hotel. Since that night when you and Asterion sat before the hearth, so much has changed. The hotel stands restored. Its once silent hallways are now peppered with footsteps and voices of guests. And the Minotaur, that broken down figure in the back of the cold room, as sure as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, he too did change. Over the ages, masters came who saw virtue in serving the gods. After all, what could be more rightful than reenacting these old rites? And yet, so did masters arrive who saw fit to discard those old trappings and delve deep into something humane, and all the more unholy for it. To release a prisoner from his rightful sentence, to corrupt the holy realm, to fulfill the whims of fickle humans, to spawn diamonds from one's hands, to house unclean and ill wretches, to divert this land's resources towards their own goals. What strange follies these humans do, such gods may think. Some Prometheus or another offers them fire, a fitting gift to burn fatty hecatombs, and it is used instead to warm one another's feet. What will this new master, climbing up the grand staircase, do with his mandate? When he looks at the prisoner and reveals his true self, does he despise the judgment of humans beneath his feet? Or does he fear the gods, wherever they may be? Does he dream of standing up to the legacy of the old hero Theseus? Or will he content himself with being decent and no more special than his peers? Will his legs not tire of stepping two at a time and making good of strange dealings? Will his steps be accompanied 3 stairs to a step by another? Whatever his choice may be, none may cast judgment, for the Lord holds all the power in this realm, and the gods themselves are nowhere to be seen. No checks and balances, no fear of reprisal, just the stone-made footprints of contracts and curses. Perhaps these too can be bent? Except perhaps that lone watchman down below, the keeper of divine will. What sharp eyes he has. As for us, fret not, we shall not judge you. This is no trial. A man such as yourself holds no regrets in how you carry your affairs. Now, let us not waste any more of the monarch's precious time. Before you lies the door, and beyond it the prisoner awaits his captor. You finish your ascent and open the door, and there he is, sitting at the living room table while cradling his lyre. We got the wine! Upon your entrance, the Minotaur recoils as if hit in the stomach. A hell breath is punched out of him. It takes a moment to even look to one side and see you there, and another to see the wine, that dark shape in your hand looking so odd, swirling and sloshing. The Minotaur opens his mouth to speak and lingers silent.
He shudders, chills running up his spine all the way to the back of his head. Then it assaults him again, that terrible sensation as if hummingbirds were pecking at the back of his head. It seems he was about to speak. With all the turbulence, he just takes a breath instead. Are you okay? He exhales a little harder, his nostrils flare into a snort. Oh, yes, Master, I am fine. I am just a little shocked, even now. The Minotaur has not stood up. You shake the bottle in his direction. Well, don't look at me like a deer in headlights. Get over here. The Minotaur's breathing is short and agitated, as if he was resting from a sprint. His eyes betray some kind of daze. A deer? Me? Upon hearing your words, he reaches up and caresses his horns, checking if they had become antlers, and stands at the command. He approaches, arms sticking straight down his sides as if he didn't know what to do with them. Perhaps he expected more aplomb, more ritual. To be handed the bottle like this, as a friend would deliver a parcel, makes his movement tentative. Asterion extends his hands and gingerly takes it. His grip is so gentle the surface of the bottle glides over his hand. Just a moment of distraction will be enough to make it slip. His thumb brushes some tarnish from the neck as he watches the sediment shift with every movement. He aligns it with the lamp and looks through the glass as if at a wide, dark sea. His eyebrows are pursed, his gaze is implacable, his tail droops straight down and goes immobile. He stands like a statue where he should be jumping for joy. Is this the real deal? Is it not the right wine? So, oh my God, if that snake screwed with us like this. No, this is it. It's just... The Minotaur's ears flicks, he trails off into his thoughts. He uncorks the bottle with delicate care and raises it to his nose. He inhales and his shoulders collapse as he sets it on the table. Argos did not lie. However, excuse me, Master, perhaps I rose too quickly. I need to sit down. He looks from the bottle to you, to the window, to the lyre, back to the bottle. His eyes are wide open, his nostrils flare with each short breath. He tries to look back at you, but something has changed. His eyes look dull as if he's lost in thought. What can I do to repay this? His kindness will cease if I do not repay him. How could he go so far of his way to undertake this? He cannot possibly mean anything but to further some kind of use. What am I getting into here? There must be a catch. There always is, just like what happened with Tithonus. One can't liberate another without taking shackles of their own. So why would he do this? What does he want from me? I am indebted now. Beyond being a slave, I now have yet another leash on my neck. It would have been better had he never gone through the trouble. Why even balk and chatter in your head like this? It doesn't matter what you think. He gave you something, so you need to take it. Stop dawdling. Don't tense up. It is the polite thing to do. He gave you something, so take it. For nearly a minute now, the Minotaur has been silent, unmoving except for twitching ears and furrowing eyebrows. Asterion, are you sure there's nothing wrong? He stands while speaking, but stops. He takes another step forward, but does not meet your eyes. I apologize for speaking over you, Master, but... Thank you. He raises his arms halfway to his chest. It's not quite a shrug. Thank you. Just... Hey, listen, it's fine, okay? You seem a bit overwhelmed today, I understand that. I was just talking with Argos after all, I know that can get to you. It's been such a busy week aside from the entire valley situation. So, don't worry, okay? Everything is fine. Now, how about you have a drink? Let's go step by step. Do you want a glass? No, it's fine. I can drink from the bottle. Okay, so now, have a drink. The Minotaur nods. He squares his shoulders and breathes out in what one can assume is relief.
As you wish, sir. Thank you.
He takes the bottle. As he brings it to his mouth, he looks at you again to make sure it's okay. You make your own almost shrug in response, so he drinks. He begins with a paused gulp to appreciate the wine's flavour, to breathe in and out before getting to it. His nostrils flare in a snort as the wine, enjoyable as it may be, burns his throat. The Minotaur closes his eyes and throws his head back. His Adam's apple bobs with each mouthful, as the bottle bubbles as its contents are emptied around the imperfect seal of Asterion's lips. All the while, nothing happens. He remains exactly the same, an ear still without fur, and an eye. The hotel shudders. The floor beneath you quakes and you hear it again, the groaning sound of the obsidian at the bedrock rubbing against itself. It almost sounds like a faraway yell. The table groans as Asterion bangs the empty wine bottle against it. His tail flicks over the floor. His eyes are shut tight. His left eye is closed the first time in a long time, and he seems to be concentrating on it. Oh, wow. How do you feel?
I feel fine, a tad tipsy. It is quite unsettling having two eyes again after so long. But in a good way.
The Minotaur shakes himself like a dog would when trying to dry itself. His ears and tail flop around.
I feel heavy. It's been so long since I've been like this. I hope this is how I used to look like, more or less. I hope you aren't.
Don't worry about a thing, Asterion. Everything's fine, and in fact, you look great.
Thank you.
But maybe we should get going. Don't you have the concert?
Why at 12?
Look at the remains of the shirt you made for Asterion lying on the ground and torn to shreds.
I'm very sorry, Master. This is why I prefer togas. My neck doesn't get along with tight collars.
Well, don't worry about it. We can mend it later. Right now you should be getting ready for your show.
Yes, I should.
His ears flick as if to shake off forgetfulness. The Minotaur moves about the room to straighten himself up, gather his lyre and make sure of the tuning of the strings. As he gets involved in his lyre, you listen to him muttering. Here and there you snatch a word or two. Got yourself lost in wine? Well, Chaos said, and it's true. In Onoi Alethea. Between the few words you comprehend, there are streaks of hums trying to hit the lyre's notes. When he gets back to being ready to leave, lyre in hand, his face contorts into surprise to see you still there.
Master, I thought, thank you again.
What were you saying back there, if you don't mind me asking? I noi?
It's, Archaios.
I don't speak Greek, you haven't realised. And I noi Alethea?
He sang a lot about drinking. That there is truth in wine. I mean, drinking helped me loosen up a bit. I didn't know what to say, but it helped.
I'm curious. Doesn't the hotel translate what people say? Shouldn't I have heard the translation? I suppose that's a matter for another time. How about we go to the lounge together? Asterion tenses his jaw. He looks down to your feet as if lost in thought.
Yes, Master. Very well.
You and Asterion head out side by side. It's night out. The grand staircase is draped in darkness. For a glimpse towards the heavens reveal the twinkling stars, an immense foamy sea moving ever so slow. Murmurs and song crawl up from the ground floor. So, what do you have in mind for tonight?
Well, just a few of the old songs I know. Nothing special. In fact, they may sound odd for modern sensibilities.
They are, Asterion sighs and looks down to his lyre. He rubs his thumb over the side of it back and forth, followed by a flick of his ears. There's a rhythm to him. His thumb is twice as fast as his steps downstairs. His ears flicker after every third step and his tail swishes after every fifth. Then he almost stumbles. He's not yet used to his new centre of gravity. He puts a hand on the guardrail and snorts. As soon as he takes his next step, he stumbles again. You reach out to hold his hand. Are you sure there's nothing wrong? I'm sorry, Master. I'm just a bit in my head. You attempt to let go of his hand, now larger and rougher than before, but his fingers curl around yours and resist, at least until he gingerly lets you go. He takes a breath and seems to concentrate. You reach the ground floor and take the hallway to the lounge. The lights aren't lit yet, so you and Asterion walk in darkness once more. Further ahead there is a slit of light flowing from the lounge's door, and beyond is the hallway that leads you to the kitchen, where you found Asterion mere days ago. The guests' laughter and voices, Luke's boisterous shrieks, Cota's rumbling bass, and all your footsteps mixed with the clopping of Asterion's hooves. Its gait is larger than yours now, lumbering, slow movements, each step swaying him like a pendulum from side to side. Still, the two of you find a common rhythm, 3 of yours for every second step of his. You're almost there now. You look to the Minotaur. He looks away then back to you and brings his gaze down to your feet. I'm sure you'll do fine, Asterion, but good luck. I'll get you a cup of water when you go on stage. You turn to move away, but the Minotaur's hand catches yours. He pulls you close with a stiff jerk, then wraps you with his other arm. He squeezes you in an almost glacial, gentle way, mixed with the warmth of his skin and breath around you. Despite his newfound bulk, Asterion is soft, his fur like silk against your skin and spreading around you a gentle scent. No fragrance except for a distant note of warm fur and tanning skin. His hooves shuffle, not knowing where to step. But each movement is shy. They graze the floor instead of stomping it, afraid of so much as scraping your shoes. He lays his head on top of yours, with his muzzle in particular nuzzling against your hair. He grumbles something. It takes a few tries for him to say it out loud. Thanks. Thank you. There is warmth around you, but also tension. Asterion's movements remain jerky and stiff. Your own surprise passes over, however. You respond to his hug in kind. His tail jerks and swishes in response, and droops. A rumble escapes his throat as you squeeze his midsection. The tension dissipates. His shoulders relax. His arms fit and mold around you. The weight of his head falls on yours. He breathes through your hair and nuzzles you. His pink nose is soft, even a bit wet. You squeeze him harder, with the same glacial pace his own movements displayed. You're met with another grunt, although by now you can tell it's not one of complaint. Oh. The two of you remain very still as the voices further ahead celebrate and cheer their own victories, their brief nights of rest, or perhaps even a newfound home. Just out of sight, surrounded by light, they celebrate, and here in this velvety darkness, you and Asterion breathe each other's scents. When the time comes to say goodbye, the two of you relax your fingertips, then hands, and finally arms as bit by bit you disentangle yourselves. Just like that, it's over, and the only evidence left of this gesture, besides the sweet memory, is the Minotaur's quickened, shallow breathing. He looks down to his clothes, now rumpled, and moves to tidy them before looking back to you, then to the lounge and his lyre. The moment for departure is at hand. It's time for his concert to start. He turns halfway, and then swivels back to you, mouth agape and eyes seeking words. That stiffness returns by degrees to his movements. He grumbles something, perhaps another thank you, though he seems to transition to another, more complex phrase you couldn't quite catch. Thank you, I enjoyed that. You don't got to be all flustered. It was nice of you. Again, thank you. Thank you also. The growing agitation does not dissipate, but does not increase either. So, feel free to hug me again if you wish. May I do the same to you?
Well, yes, Master, that would be very pleasant.
Thank you. Something shifts in his eyes. There was once a sharpness there, perhaps a measure of fear. It had wavered in and out like a flame resisting the wind ever since you released him from the cold room. But it's gone for now, and he sees you.
Sometimes I look at you, and it's like I am seeing an old friend I knew back in Crete, like a little window into the past.
Is that a good thing?
Yes, friends are a very precious thing, Leo. Perhaps I want to believe. I was so confused today, but the wine must have loosened me, and now... I'm rambling, I know. Forgive me.
The Minotaur's ears flicker as the voices inside the lounge get rowdier. He budges as if turning back to the door, but his eyes don't want to leave you. The Minotaur takes another deep breath. With an almost identical, almost rehearsed movement, he grabs you close again in his arms, but more gentle, more deliberate. He only holds you for a second, too short for you to even respond in kind. Before you know it, he lets you out of his brief embrace once again. Doesn't quite meet your gaze.
You said I could hug you again, if I wished, so...
You laugh. I did say that, and I did mean it, so thank you again. Shall we go in? He nods to you. He smiles to himself, and he nods again to you. You take a step forward, and side by side the two of you go in. Well, the stage should be set. Do you want to go get ready?
Ah, yes, I should do that.
The atmosphere in the lounge tonight feels festive and lively, a far cry from when you first came here. Koto, who on any other day would run his restaurant like the proud captain of a tight ship, is not bothered by the chatter and festive mood of the room. Luke sits next to Uruguayan workers, speaking with a raspier voice but recounting how he kicked the snake's non-existent butt. Ismail and Greta are sitting at one of the tables far away. The former is glued to his phone, watching something, while the latter is pushing him to socialise. And to think, just a week or so ago this place was dead and blood-stained. What an accomplishment. You turn to Asterion as he gets up on the stage. The Minotaur covers his eyes. The lights glare at him, carving a dull pain into the back of his head. He looks down to the steps leading up the platform and goes step by step as he lumbers with the new weight of his body. 20 or so sets of eyes are fixed on him, on his bullish features, his horns, his newly healed self. It's been a while since he's been in the spotlight like this. Back when he was a child, old women would come and put flowers on his horns, dozens of ladies in succession, and he would cover his eyes in much the same way then. They would ask for his blessings. The men would plead he bless their crops, until it became too much. He'd cry, and his father or wet nurse would pull him away and scold him for throwing a tantrum. He cradles the lyre against his chest. A string grazes his shirt and lets out a hum. It sends out a spark of confidence. He moves his arm away, pulls the stool and sits down. Asterion's gaze turns to his hand, more specifically to the wristband you made for him, and he smiles. He looks at the guests, each and every one of them in succession, then to you.
Hey, hello everyone. I think I should introduce myself first. My name is Asterion, and as you can see, I am not exactly human. I work here at the hotel. It's where I spend most of my life, in a way.
He traces his thumb along the string again, letting it vibrate into the air, not quite plucking it.
Until last week, this place was abandoned. It was just me here. I'm glad to see people again, so many new faces. So, among you are our first guests after our reopening, and I know some of you are leaving tomorrow morning. So we thought it would be nice to do something special. This is for you, our guests. But I am dedicating it to a friend. I hope you will enjoy tonight, and that when you leave, that you take with you fond memories. If you ever need a home or just a place to rest,
Our doors are open. The Minotaur positions his lyre and breathes. He places his fingertips along a few strings on one side of the lyre and strums with his other hand. He begins to hum. It gets louder through plaintive notes of the chant-like rhythm. He says a few snatches of words. He begins to pluck out the melody he hummed. Only the last line did he sing out. A look of consternation and worry fade into simple calm as the last notes fade to silence. I hope you don't mind I didn't sing that one. I found, just as I got on stage, I could not remember the words, so I hoped the strings alone would do. I wasn't quite sure that the muses were with me this evening, but the 9 of Helicon are here, it seems, and they deserve acknowledgement before I continue. My older brother taught me to play, and one of the first things you do in a performance is invoke the muses, he said. Tonight they did not see fit to remove song completely from me, and made me remember my brother. May my song's reverence with them be always as their mercy is to me. So, I thank you, muses, who are not too cross with me. Please aid my song. She plucks another melody out, a single line of notes stretching through the room, strings left to ring out. Once you notice how much the melody has the contour of cadence of speech, you hear his fingers stop a few strings. He strums again and begins to sing, putting words to what he just played. It is not quite a bellow, but his bovine throat is open as his voice rumbles out an epic hymn. A lyric. A drinking song. While the song lasts, he is shameless. His presence flows and captivates. His heaviness was never less burdensome. Between each of these, however, Asterion's bashfulness returns as he explains what the song is about. But while he sings and while he plays, he's not self-conscious. His eyes aren't closed out of shyness, but out of feeling like himself. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed your stay and thank you once again. I've been having the strangest dreams lately, Dad. I see into this dark room. It looks like some kind of ancient Greek temple or something. In the middle of it, there's this big hunk of purple rock. Well, I've been having these ever since Grandpa died, and we had that whole thing about his will, but lately it's different. There were people there, a number of them actually. And, one of them was a Minotaur. That's like Grandpa said. I've been thinking about it, yes. I mean, it's like I've anything better to do right now. I got a job over, kinda. They don't know for sure yet. And I have some savings. Well, I've been thinking about paying Grandpa a visit. A little car trip. Who knows, maybe stories about the hotel are true after all. I want to find that out for myself. That's a very mean thing to say about your own father. You taught me better than that. Listen, then that is going to stop me. You might as well save yourself the effort. It's best if I hang up now. Goodbye. Fucking piece of shit. I'll show you. As we reach chapter 13, I'm going to wrap this up after the concert there. So I hope you enjoyed this one. There's one more Minotaur Hotel to come before I reach the end of the current build. So it depends when the next build comes out. There might be a bit of a gap coming up, but I think probably I'll do another Minotaur Hotel sometime early April. We'll see how things go. But we'll see what happens with that. Hope you enjoyed it. And I haven't forgotten the guys I have to mention here. Evan King, Grizz, Samuto, The Beholder, David Taylor, Popot, Brandon Bradford, and Anubis Silverwind. Well, of course, he paid attention to the slide at the beginning. My top patrons. So thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon. I do appreciate it. You don't have to. Next up is... Who knows? I really don't myself. I know there's an update for Socially Awkward, hopefully on the way soon. Also, there's a Patreon update for ICO, which will come out publicly at some point, but I don't know when. So I know 2 weeks from recording, just the way the times work out, it'll be a bit late, but I do have Dean's Day 16 in Password coming up. That's going to be around the 20th or so of March, and then we might finish off some tennis days, or I might fit something else in. Depends what's going on with all these VNs. Honestly, I don't know. So when we get any kind of idea what's going on, I'll know what's going on. So more Minotaur Hotel next month, definitely, and Mystery Video X will be next weekend. We'll find out then. Until then, thanks for watching, and bye for now.